Why are China and the United States suddenly so interested in Argentina? Because Argentina is sitting on some of the most strategically important resources of the 21st century economy. It starts with lithium. Argentina is part of the so-called Lithium Triangle, along with Chile and Bolivia, and holds some of the world's largest lithium reserves. Lithium is essential for batteries, meaning electric vehicles, energy storage, electronics, and increasingly the infrastructure supporting an electrified economy. Right now, China dominates much of the global battery supply chain. So for China, access to Argentina's lithium helps reinforce an industry where it is already incredibly powerful. For the United States, Argentina represents something different, an opportunity to diversify critical mineral supply chains away from China. And this competition is becoming increasingly explicit. In 2026, the United States and Argentina signed a new framework specifically designed to strengthen cooperation on critical minerals and mineral processing. But lithium isn't the only resource that matters. Argentina also has enormous copper potential. Copper is fundamental to electrification. We need it for power grids, electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, data centers, and practically everything else that requires moving large amounts of electricity. Argentina has several enormous underdeveloped copper deposits, meaning it could become a much more important supplier as global electricity demand increases. Then there's energy. Argentina is home to Vaca Muerta, one of the world's largest shale oil and natural gas formations. Argentina is now trying to turn those resources into a major export industry, including an enormous proposed LNG project. That matters because natural gas is increasingly a globally traded strategic commodity. So Argentina potentially has lithium for batteries, copper for electrification, oil and natural gas for the existing energy economy, and enormous renewable energy potential. But China's relationship with Argentina goes much deeper than resources. Over the last 2 decades, China has become a major trading partner, investor, and financer in Argentina. Chinese companies have been involved in everything from lithium and energy to railways and infrastructure. China also established a massive currency swap relationship with Argentina's central bank. At moments when Argentina struggled to access US dollars, that relationship gave the country another source of financial liquidity. And this is where the geopolitics get really interesting. Argentina is in the Western Hemisphere. So from Washington's perspective, growing Chinese influence in a resource-rich South American country has strategic implications that go far beyond trade. The United States increasingly wants Argentina integrated into American and allied supply chains, particularly for critical minerals, energy, technology, and infrastructure. And Argentina's current president, Javier Milei, has moved the country much closer politically to the United States. In 2026, the two countries signed a broader trade and investment agreement covering areas including energy, critical minerals, infrastructure, and technology. So you can think about Argentina as a case study for a much larger global competition. China spent years building economic relationships throughout the developing world through trade, infrastructure, financing, and investment. Now, the United States is increasingly trying to build or rebuild strategic economic relationships of its own. And countries like Argentina don't necessarily want to choose only one side. They want the investment. They want infrastructure. They want markets for their resources. And they want economic growth. That's why Argentina matters. It isn't simply a country with lithium. It's a country with critical minerals, enormous energy resources, agricultural power, strategic geography, and huge development potential. And as competition between the United States and China increasingly revolves around energy, technology, and supply chains, countries that control the resources underlying those systems become much more important. The US-China competition isn't only happening in Washington and Beijing. Increasingly, it's happening wherever the resources of the future are found. And Argentina is becoming one of those places.